energy from watching these teams and watching that game. That's sometimes what Warhead can give you. It's very reminiscent of Fnatic and Ballistics last year at BlizzCon, where the nukes come down and the boss is there and it's just fireworks.
Yes. It was all about the bosses for Roll20. They didn't want to risk it with a kind of medevac fly into the core. Clarus, you know the Tetris effect, where if you play too much Tetris, you see all those shapes and rotations?
Yeah.
I keep seeing Tracer fly off the map from Diva explosions, because it's happened twice today now, in the Dignitas Roll20, and now here as well, right at the center.
It's a brilliant sight. Of course, two players in this game, of course, Goku and H82, but I think Goku, for me, is someone that, ever since coming onto the Roll20 roster, has really been a kind of a standout player. What do you guys think?
100% agree. 100% agree. I was talking about this a little bit with Grubby before, some of the plays. If you go back to the early part of this year before Goku came on to Roll20, he was making killer plays, whether it was on Artanis or whatever melee it was on a team that was a little bit subpar in North America. The minute he comes over to Roll20, it's almost like he has this way to shine, to show it's like, look, I'm a really good player. I just needed the right team. I needed the right stage, and he's really come through. Numbers like that, I can tell you one thing, as being a melee player, I have researched stats for a year plus here, 1.2 deaths per game as a melee, whether it's the off melee or it's an assassin role, is incredible. It is incredible. Those stats, they might not stand out when you first look at them, but I promise you he is a phenomenal player, and it shows right there.
There's one thing that I actually want to talk about outside of the player comparison, unless you...
I just think he showed a lot of humility and drive in his player interview, and these are key roles to improvement. But
no, I absolutely agree on that. Like him personally, when he talked about like his own performance, that I can only agree what you said there. He was very, I'm liking the word. He showed a lot of humility in that sense. But what I want to come back down to is the last game that we saw, because I want to make sure that people also understand a bit. Oftentimes, wins like this are dismissed as, yeah, they cheesed them. They can't play against the Koreans, so they needed to cheese them, and it was bad. And I think it's the absolute wrong way to approach a game like it, because when we're talking about Korea, coming from StarCraft, from Warcraft, we all know this, they excel at execution, their mechanical skill is insane, and they're very good at playing a specific style and playing it to perfection. Where they oftentimes struggled in the past is adapting to new situations fast enough to really make an impact. Right. So coming up with strategies that exploit that as a weakness is, I think, what you need to do if you feel you shouldn't, or it's easier for you instead of going toe-to-toe with them in what they consider to be the best meta.
Yeah. And it's way too easy to call something cheese because you immediately stop discussion. You stop thinking about it, you stop analyzing, and you don't know really until after a month or two whether that strategy holds up and can continue to be used.
Absolutely. And Roll20 found strategies where they said this is something that they won't expect, that they won't be able to deal with right away. And now all of a sudden they have Tempest in a mindset where Tempest is looking at it and saying, hey, first of all, we just lost against a region that we didn't really respect. Second of all, we're one map away from being eliminated here. Yeah. So now they are starting to be a little bit afraid because they also don't understand what could happen on the next map. And that puts them into a very awkward position. And Roll20 has now, for example, one map where they can do whatever, because it's a free map for them before we come into the final one. So I just want to applaud what they did here, how they approached this, and I want to say from the get-go that I really think their style of forcing the Koreans into an out of their comfort zone by developing strategies like this is the right approach.
Well, let's see if these ingenuitive strategies can continue on here as we go into our next battleground, as Tempest is going to take us to Battlefield of Eternity, Jay Howe.
Take them to the deep waters. Make them fight you. You cannot avoid a fight on Battlefield of Eternity. And I watched a lot of games of Roll20 on Battlefield of Eternity. It's something that I want people to watch while approaching this game, because Roll20 has a very different approach to the way that they play it. They'll sometimes use the global to force rotations, but generally when it comes to positioning, especially if it's top-bottom, you'll see them go towards a defensive stance, assess the situation, and then make a very good call. It's kind of like a soft reset in the middle of the game. They'll always find a way to position themselves, get into a defensive stance, and really kind of assess and execute afterwards.
It's time, game number 2, and Roll20 is one game away from BlizzCon, one game away from eliminating Tempest.
I'm very excited for this. I think the choice of Tempest is a great one. I really like it. It's catering way more to their strength and to the execution that we mentioned before, even though they are from the Korean team as the 3rd seed and may trail behind Ballistics and MVP Black. But this is the type of game that they want to play, something that they're more familiar with. And for me personally, it's now the question, does Roll20 have something that pushes Tempest far enough out of their comfort zone that they're again surprised?
I think one thing to consider, and it would be towards the back end of this strap, because they're going to be going, taking away the Tassadar, it's a slight hint, but not necessarily, because obviously you don't want to give up the Tracers, so you ban the Tassadar. Old school Glaurung Zeratul might be something to consider for this game.
It's a good point. And he was already smiling as Medivh was banned out here, and I think it's a weird situation. It's
Did they just trade looks?
The funny thing is, I'm looking at the angle, and they actually laughed at each other.
Yeah, they are doing. Both times they did it.
I mean, it makes sense. It's a bit the ADR factor that you have in Europe. Yes, you are always sacrificing a ban for a hero like Medivh. The problem is, if you don't do it, they pick it, and all of
you'll regret it.
Yeah, exactly. The game was even worse.
I mean, Medivh needs a lot of practice as the team and also against him, because he breaks the rules. Suddenly, the whole team is on your backline, and if you don't have practice against it, might as well avoid this situation altogether.
He's a big game changer for sure.
Yeah, Medivh cheats.
Now, Uther doesn't give anything away yet for the Roll20 draft, and like you said, Kaldor, they are under a lot of duress now. They're one match away from being eliminated, Tempest, and they don't know what brand of heroes is coming at them yet. Uther doesn't say much. So we have this very stable opener, ETC Sonya. Did Tempest play into Roll20's hand? They have no idea yet. They need to wait for the next picks.
I like the opening though, because with Sonya you have a solo laner that is extremely powerful and wins nearly every single matchup up at the top lane. ETC, you are very flexible, but you're also threatening since you can go mosh pit. If you need to adapt, you can even go into stage dive. If that is a problem, usually we don't see as much on the Battlefield of Eternity as on other maps.
Plus, who beats Sonya in the solo lane?
Yeah, exactly. So Sonya is insane there.
And even the few that beat her, Butcher, Malthael, they're very like teamfight oriented and not so much like map manipulation, which is like what they might be afraid of if you look at last map.
So I really like the opening here for them, but then again, in my head, it's also, I now expect the Roll20 factor to kick in.
The factor that generally comes to mind for me is the potential, oh my, I couldn't even get the words out fast enough, is the leaving Genji, right? So the Uther pick enables the Genji, that's a very well-known fact. But going back to the days of, in the phase 1, when they had Yoda, who, by the way, always make the point, was the #1 Li-Ming player on Diablo 3, and he played a lot of Li-Ming, or I guess it's not
really?
Li-Ming. Yes, he's actually #1. He's been #1 on leaderboard in multiple heroes, and then he played Li-Ming in this game. Yeah, okay, going back to the early season.
Question.
But
softcore, hardcore.
Get out of here. We know you're a hardcore player, Kaldor. Show me all your dead heroes.
All the Diablo 3 players out there will agree with me, I'm sure.
Maybe but either way, this is what they've done. This goes back, if you look historically, whether it's Prismaticism or Yoda back in the day, they love Li-Ming, and it falls back to the same thing that I was talking about. They use Li-Ming as, you can't really hard engage into that style, but you also have good poke. It allows you to reassess the situation, and they use Li-Ming a lot in that scenario.
Guys, what do we think of Roll20 maybe rolling with Ana in the final 2 picks? Li-Ming Ana. Haven't really seen it yet. Could be quite nice.
Be absolutely brutal. We haven't really seen as much Ana as I expected, also because she's oftentimes banned in the second spot.
Yeah. It could be quite nice. Li-Ming Ana,
Don't tease me, Grubby.
Double support. For those that don't know, Ana, one of the newest heroes in the Nexus, the newest to be able to be played, has a 60-second cooldown heroic that gives 200 mana, 30% spell power, ability power, and massive cooldown reduction on all basic abilities. Mages, like Li-Ming, benefit massively from that. It's a 10-second lasting heroic, so Li-Ming can just go completely crazy with that.
Kharazim's good because he does damage, but he also has something called Air Ally, which reveals cloaked heroes. Just point that out there. It's still a possibility. Yes, clearly Valera, but still a possibility. We're seeing good heroes. Still a possibility of Zeratul. I should go back to my earlier point instead of leaving Valera kind of hanging there.
Can I agree with you guys that if Valera Samuro comes out as the final 2 picks, we just say nothing else?
Okay.
I agree.
If I see either one of them, I won't say anything.
Okay, if we do that, can we go for the quick match combo and make it Zeratul Nova?
Zeratul Nova, that's fine. Any double cloak at this point, we will be at a loss for words, guaranteed.
Yeah. You can't beat double cloak.
We'll move on and we'll talk about something else.
Because our ally is not available. Hey, it makes sense. Tassadar was removed, no Oracle.
It wasn't. It was just in phase 2. They had almost an identical draft. If I see Arthas come up and then they kind of hover their last pick, it might be, I mean, it would be a clone of that draft. But this is something we saw Goku earlier on Genji wrecking people in an earlier game.
So that is already an insane dive comp. But as we say that, we have Ana now finally making her appearance, and we have Brightwing, so...
Hey, that's smart.
Ana would get wrecked by Zeratul. Hey, you can peekaboo, but it's only every, what? Depending on level 1 talent, right?
Yeah. But seriously, this is a very smart pick by Tempest. They removed the Ana Ming combination, or even Ana Genji, and also Sonya is a very good Nana boost target. They have their double support.
The one thing that scares me is that if Roll20 doesn't draft another support here, we might see a Lunara on the other side, but she is susceptible to a Genji-style dive, but Brightwing clone, Ana single target heals, things like that. This is my first time, I think, seeing an Ana game, right? Have we had one?
I think there's been one,
We have had.
There it is.
Hello.
Well,
there it is.
Only one cloak, not two, luckily, so we are allowed to continue talking.
It's true.
But it's heavy dive, and that's something where we oftentimes talked about Karazim and Brightwing as a potential combo with Genji. Now we're having Genji, Li Ming, Zeratul, Murden. So there's a lot of heroes that can really just go in very deep and gonna try for that snipe against Ana directly. Or Brightwing, depending on who they can reach first here.
So what should Tempest go now?
Scary.
The Lunara also does well against cloaked heroes with their level 1 to reveal when they're poisoned. So I'm not saying Lunara might be a great choice. At level 13, she's a bit more survivable because of greater spell shield. But before that, you look at Brightwing, Ana, and Lunara, they are all very susceptible to burst damage, which is one thing Zeratul, Li Ming, Genji all do incredibly well. So it'd be a dangerous pick, but it'd be a very good late game pick, in my opinion. But right now, they have their backs against the wall. This has to be a damage dealer.
Well, Tempest could do a very generic Vala. He could run with Greymane or Lunara.
Yeah, I was even suggesting if they maybe can run around Acacia with this. That would be...
Oh!
Okay.
Wow, no range damage dealer. Artanis, H82's Artanis. He picked it 4 times. 3-1 score.
Where's Trickster when you need him?
Oh, he's at the edge of his seat, I'm sure.
I hear footsteps now.
That's very cool. So you have 2 melee damage dealers, Sonya and Artanis, double backline support, and ETC. Definitely a very different brand of draft, but I'm excited to see it for once.
I actually, the more I think about it, the more I actually like that last pick. So
I agree.
It's a really cool choice. First of all, any kind of squishy range damage that you would have thrown into this would have just been fodder.
Yeah.
And then you get your resets for Genji, for Li Ming, and it just continues that trend. With Artanis, you can get damage out, you have your own lines, you have pressure against the Immortal that you already have with Sonya. So when it comes to Immortal pressure alone and really commitment to these fights, the draft on Tempest side is actually pretty solid.
I want to ask, every time we come into, you know, these world championships where teams are trying to establish metas and things like that, learn from one another and, you know, just craft the best meta possible, hasn't the last 3 days been ridiculous?
Yeah,
what's going on?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Artanis' W is on a 4-second cooldown. You nano boost an amateur opponent Artanis. That does. I want to know what the damage output is out there.
Grub,
if you can I was gonna say, if you can do this quick, then I'm just retiring right now. Grubby's a one-man show.
Oh, nano boost amateur opponents.
Yes, and you just www all over.
www.heroesofthestorm.com. How does it go?
One of the reasons
we're excited is what we're trying to say.
One of the reasons why I actually like this adjustment is because I was questioning before we started if the Koreans are able to adjust, since it's usually pushing them out of their comfort zone. And I think when we're talking about NA and also about Europe, the teams over there are usually more used to strategies like this because, well, we have expert in Europe, Roll20 in North America, so you face that every other day.
We have North America, period.
Well, gentlemen, you can see that...
You said it, not me. I just want to point that out here real quickly. This time I'm innocent.
I'll move you on quickly. We do have 92% in favor of Roll20 esports out in the HGC universe on Twitter. So good job, North America, for getting those votes in, I suppose, as we're almost ready to go to this game. So without further ado, let's head over to the commentary team because I think everybody wants to see this unfold.
Can Korea come back? Again, we've got this stronger team fight composition. Most are arguing objective-based composition for Tempest versus an unusual North American Roll20 specific strategy. Dread, what are you thinking?
It's another case where we see Roll20 kind of going to the roots, but not busting out the identical compositions. Though it's like just a slightly altered version of those compositions.
Yeah, you know, not seeing the Diablo, seeing the Zeratul instead. We'll see if that Zeratul threat is going to be enough. Looks like the game is ready, guys. We are going to go ahead and jump into game number 2 to see if Roll20 is going to BlizzCon proper in front of that crowd. Tempest would be knocked out if that were the case. Again, this has not happened in group stage in this format to a Korean team, especially not by the likes of North America. But here we are, and in blue, speaking of North America, it will be Roll20. Bring out that Astral Presence Li Ming here at level 1 as we spawn on Battlefield of Eternity. Glaurung bringing up that Zeratul just like old times. Justing on the Muradin. Will be Goku on Genji. We have Prismaticism on Li Ming. Last but not least, Buds on Uther.
And in the red, down a game is going to be Tempest. We have Hyde on his Ana. H82 on Artanis. Lockdown on the Brightwing. Next up is Sign on that ETC. And you know Honkono's going to be on that Sonya.
I really feel like H82's Artanis will pair well with Ana. Not talking about Nano Boost, of course, but mostly just talking simply about the healing output of Ana on a target of that size. It can just simply be healed repeatedly, biotic grenades, and things like that. So very excited to see how that performs. As was touted on the desk earlier, most do consider H82 the best Artanis in the world, the only player to consistently get results with him. So you'll see a ton of CC being tossed down onto Honkono here. Will he be able to get out? He's going to whirlwind his way through. Buds a bit too far forward. They look like you want to go for maybe an Uther bait where kind of if you die, you trade one for one. You got the heals, but has killed only himself.
Yeah, that was a really good transition as well from Sign to make sure that he was able to get that follow-up. Talking about the follow-up, though, there's actually a lot of a skirmish still going up on top. Polymorph is there. Q going to go drop, but it looks like the Stormbolt is enough to allow Justin to escape. Tempest here really bringing the aggression, and Roll20 seeming to struggle to understand how to deal with it.
Yeah, it feels like we're seeing Tempest go back to some of their roots here. It feels like they're playing angry right now. You've got Honkono going to the Sonya, which he played back in the day when Sonya in Korea was considered a tank. You have Hyde playing the new support, which is what he always does when new support comes out. He plays it more than others, and we're going to see an attempt here to take out H82. He goes for one of those God swaps, fails. But you got Sign on ETC as well, and Roll20 is going to have to respect this. Justin does see him there in the vent, and we'll scout him out. But here comes the first Immortal phase, and I think this is really going to set the stage as to how this composition is going to work out for Tempest.
And I know that we haven't gotten to see too much Ana, so everybody's eyes are very much going to be on to Hyde here. But I do want to bring to light that I personally feel like Hyde is still one of the best. Wait a minute.
Oh, that swap! Oh, look at that. We're going to see the orb come through from Prismaticism. Not enough damage here. Honkono does slide his way out there. You can see the healing output from Hyde, though, is just so much. It's very difficult to get picks even in the light of moments like that where it looks like Honkono's going too far forward.
And that was why you saw the analyst talking about H82 on the Artanis. We can expect to see those kind of swaps all day long. But back to that compliment here towards Hyde. I just wanted to say he is one of the best supports in the world. To have him on the Ana, such a playmaking support, I expect him to truly carry throughout this game.
Oh, missed the sleep dart unfortunately here though, but stuns are coming through onto Goku, who's now polymorphed. He'll be taken out here. Mobility removed. Had the sleep dart hit, it could have been even worse. And now Tempest is just going to ward them away to start looking for that immortal damage. Li Ming is just using that Astral Presence to wail away herself.
One thing to note here with Roll20 and how they approach the map like Battlefield of Eternity with that Zeratul, because J-How highlighted how this might be the old school strategy here for Roll20. Normally it's with a secondary global, like something like the Dahaka, and more importantly, it's about playing the early Immortal phases very, very slow, stalling it out, and being comfortable with their 10s and getting those heroics before the secondary phase.
So look, they're going to have H82 sit on this Immortal. He has amateur opponents, so he can just do tons of damage to that to race while Tempest defends. This is a great position Immortal-wise, because Tempest has a comp that can invade like this while just simply leaving Artanis on the right side. Not a whole lot Roll20 could do except attempt to hit this with Li Ming, but it's just not really working out. Prismaticism low on mana, has that Astral Presence, but still just not able to do consistent enough damage. There's no way to break through, and I think Roll20 is just going to simply have to give this up.
Yeah, this is a little bit faster than the members of Roll20 traditionally want to deal with a very first Immortal. So, you know, things not going according to plan, but by no means is it too much to be able to deal with here. It's only about 25% shielding there for Tempest and this Immortal. But we talk about the Immortal race that H82 on the Artanis provides, but we haven't highlighted the fact that it's also extremely good at just actually sieging and making sure these forts are no longer going to exist.
He certainly does quite a lot of damage with his amateur opponent. So see him go ahead and rotate up here. It's going to be Brightwing versus Zeratul bot, of course, and that's just going to be soaks on both sides. You can see this wall goes down very quickly, but so does the shields of this Immortal, only about 25%. Will they be able to get this fort? It seems questionable, but they're going to try to take as much out of it as they can. Zeratul can't teleport up, but Brightwing certainly can, so if they wanted to hard engage us with a good swap, they could, but not going to be an opportunity here, and they'll just walk away with half damage done.
So far, so good for both of these teams here. And, you know, and now it's going to be a really slow, I feel like, middle game here for at least on the side of Roll20. Ultimately, their composition, even though it is very offensive, I do feel like they're going to be waiting for the heroic, having Zeratul to be able to have the Void Prison, because their comp is so momentum-based. They're looking to set things up with the Void Prison, or at least the hard crowd control here from the Muradin, and then relying on the double reset of Genji and Li Ming. If the fight lasts more than, honestly, it feels like a second, I feel like it's very likely that Tempest will be the team winning these skirmishes.
Oh yeah, I mean, you really have to, when those cooldowns don't connect with the takedown, you don't get those resets, Tempest wins a longer fight. They have Ana and Brightwing on their side, and so much sustainability for ETC Sony. They heal themselves up. HG2's got the shields. Hold that thought. Speaking of shields, Sankoda does grab one here. Will whirlwind his way away. Close call there. We can see Glowering was thinking about rotating up to take the longer fight to get more value. But yeah, let's talk about sustainability. When you have the shields of Artanis, you've got Whirlwind for Sonya, ETC self-explanatory, heals himself, you've got Ana and Brightwing. So if that burst doesn't occur, Roll20 is going to have a really bad time.
Yeah, it's going to be very much them struggling. And you notice how you talked about Zeratul making the transfer out. The playstyle that Glorong has displayed on a map like Battlefield of Eternity oftentimes is playing as that pseudo-global and focusing on making sure they get the side soak. If they're able to open up a fort, you can oftentimes see him just sitting there dancing off onto the side, sitting into a mini-wave and waiting for it, just absorbing the experience and knowing that he oftentimes trade up into a majority heroes in a 1-1.
Oh, certainly so, and you don't have to aggressively be pushing the lane. You will, you know, occasionally swipe clear these waves, especially when Immortals are up, things like that, but oftentimes he's just going to sit and soak against the Brightwing. Unrevealable, untargetable. So now this is the time where Roll20 needs to, depending on where this Immortal lands, get in position so Tempest can't just squat theirs and poke it down with the Artanis. For Li Ming, obviously, she can, if they're in position where Tempest has to invade, just poke and poke and poke. But they don't want to be in that position where Tempest is just sitting there getting that free damage, because that, while defending an Immortal, Roll20 can't deal with it. We've already seen.
Good juke there onto the swap attempt, maybe coming out from H82. And yeah, you know, it does feel like here that if the first half of this Immortal phase was very inconvenient positioning for Roll20, again, to try and get that stall out. But they did luck out after the halftime show, the fact that it is defensive posturing, because the Brightwing the whole time clearing the Shaman camp, Glorong made a very late transition outward. Ultimately, it's a breath of fresh air if you're a Roll20 fan on how these Immortals have ended up spawning.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me, Dread, that we've seen these evolutions of these comps where you hold that thought. Let's see if H82 can sustain through this. You can see the healing is there. Once the picks come through, though, that's when this fight could go Roll20's way.
Peekaboo reveals Glorong. It leads to a swap immediately there out of H82.
Great sleep here. Just going to damage him there. Wake him up at the end. Feels reminiscent of Overwatch itself to see Ana sleep a Genji. And let's see, you know, how this works out. The point I was going to make is just simply that we're seeing two teams now run this purely melee composition and finding so far, at least in Tempest's case, a lot of success. So perhaps could be meta changing to see that invade yet again.
See a lot of damage there. Swap not going to land for H82 using the amateur opponent. Glorong, though, getting the sharking, the flank. He goes on to hide. There goes the polymorph. That's going to get the reveal, and immediately Glorong is just deleted here from this fight, and Tempest is not done.
This is pre-10, you know, this is before they have opportunities to use things like Divine Shield to prevent that. This time the Immortal is going to be nearly half shielded, and Tempest will get 10 first for this. Now, does their comp really push down to core? Does it really do even necessarily a keep for them? It can threaten a lot with H82, but the comp simply has no siege. Ana's damage at range is very limited. Arcane Flare not so great, so they're going to have to get kills to get more really than I think the keep wall with this.
Yeah, I think it's unfair to maybe call it no siege because the damage is there. It's just that they all have to be so clumped up, so melee.
Yeah,
that
no poke siege, I should say.
Exactly, very much the case here. Talking about poke though, Glong actually gets swapped out there onto by H82. Sign goes in for the mosh.
Interrupted immediately though by Li Ming. Here's the Void. Dragon Blade anti-synergy here though. Damage is missed. He's still got it though. There's the Emerald Wind. Inbone coming down here with the D shield. How much can Goku do?
They need a reset, and the members of Roll20 can open this up. Goku goes in. He found one. Power Slide's going to deter the second, and the damage is there. Goku is out of here. The Roll20, it's losing 2 members to the one here of Tempest, and more importantly, the Immortal is still
This is scary, you know, we talked about how it would be tough to get a keep or even start to core here because they don't have ranged siege. They've got it in melee, but with 2 members down, they're getting on this keep. Respawns are coming through, but cooldown still on the most important heroics here for Roll20. Oh no! Prismatism barely lives!
That was so very close to seeing his own life flash before his eyes. Prismaticism and friends, though, they lose a keep here very early on, and now suddenly Roll20 here, the strategy and playstyle we have often seen coming out from them is very much not been successful. So we got to be looking at how are they going to be able to recover to these later team fights. And ultimately, it just feels like we said over the last one, what we've been talking about, if they do not open up and just win in half a second, it is very unlikely that they are going to win these skirmishes.
Yeah, and you know, the Dragon Blade did a lot there in the beginning, but they just weren't able to get that kill. Had they gotten the kill onto Brightwing in that fight, I think it's a totally different scenario, and Tempest ends up losing the fight, and Roll20 might even have taken out that fort, but you have to get the kills, you have to get the resets. Seeing Haymaker here as well, I like this because even with Avatar, you're never going to out-sustain Tempest in terms of damage. That could get them that extra pick to get the resets you're talking about.
And, you know, when I watched that Void Prison go down in the manner that it did, we watched Justing actually walk into that, and that is not something you commonly see for a warrior that has poor follow-up immediately to a Void. So I'm starting to wonder, now that we see the Haymaker here, which is very unorthodox for North America, the intent is the Void is to prep the knockback. So I think what happened in the last fight is the Void went down on top of Emerald Wind after it was already casted. I think the intent is to make sure they can get the Haymaker to make sure Brightwing never gets the Emerald Wind. She's dead, and then the double resets is really going to open up the fight.
Yeah, I can get behind that thought process. It's such a weird thing to think about because we don't really see this type of play, and obviously Haymaker hasn't really been as meta as it is in this tournament basically since it was
especially for
game.
North America.
Yes.
It just flat out doesn't exist there. You know, we don't have the Honkonas going around like you do over in Korea.
Yeah, Honka's trying to get the Inven threads with his flashy plays. I think this Haymaker makes a lot more sense, though. I also do want to remember or remind everyone that that Void 2 eliminated a lot of the damage Dragon Blade could have potentially done during that duration. So here comes a fight. Yet again, Tempest is going to invade aggressively. I think Li Ming needs to be in between the top and bottom world to do that poke. Rather than doing damage to Tempest's sustainable comp, I think try to wear down the Immortal. That could be a better option here for Prismaticism.
A lot of damage there after the stun on a H82. Glong making the transfer out, or excuse me, up here towards that top lane. The Shaman Camp pushing up on bottom is something that is nice here for the members of Roll20, but ultimately until they have their 13s, it is unlikely we see them get aggressive into Tempest and push them off that Immortal.
I like to just see Roll20 keeping aggressive like this, but have Prismatism fire on the Immortal in between them, use the range, use the Li Ming. They walk away, they lose halftime, as you can see. Meanwhile, Garong is dealing with this top push, so he can't be there, they can't take a direct engagement.
But that shot calling coming out from Roll20 was very crisp. That was about perfect in terms of what they were able to get out of a losing situation, and it was almost that much of what Tempest was able to get. But we see Sign maybe caught out. Nice polymorph coming out from lockdown.
It's just so hard to kill these tanks with Ana Brightwing on the side of Tempest, so they need to get those takedowns. Here is the commitment to Haymaker to try to isolate a target, but it's just still simply Dreadnought, not enough damage. However, they do push Tempest off for the moment here of this Immortal that can help them eliminate some of these shields. Will they win this phase, though? I very much doubt it, as HGC is now coming in. This is the opportunity for Roll20. They need to take this fight or losing this Immortal.
And it looks like they're going to lose the Immortal, but Glorung found himself high. The Dwarf Toss over the wall is going to get the stun, but Prismaticism versus H82 is not even close when it comes to that skirmish. He's going to pull ahead. Sign gets the 2-man mosh.
Okay, here comes the Dragon Blade, though. He's stuck in the Void, but this is an opportunity. When that Void expires, he can do so much damage to try to get those resets here, but he goes down. H82 finds him and kills him. No D shield anymore. We're going to see shields coming through from this phase shift. Justing very low. Here's the first reset, potentially. Prismatic System is so low, though, and they can't fight against this comp. Too much health pool. And Brightwing's just going to keep everyone healed up. We're seeing Tempest look for the picks here, look for the kills.
At this point, even without the kills, as long as the members of Roll20 don't get a lot of free damage onto this Immortal, Tempest is more than fine with the situation they found themselves in. This is inevitably going to be this keep up on top. The second keep of the game, and they will be rounding the 16 Talonteers. This is looking grim for North America.
It certainly is. Looks like Tempest is willing to just accept keep, not try to go for the kill, despite the fact that Roll20 doesn't have those critical heroics that would allow them to potentially get resets to win a fight. Tempest, they're against match point. A loss here means they're out of the tournament. Why force something when you don't have sieging poke damage, when you could just walk away? You've won every single Immortal phase thus far with your sustainable healing, and win the next Immortal phase happens, you can assume, it seems, that they'll be able to make that happen again. The onus is now on Roll20 to find those picks. They're so close, but still no cigar.
But I want to bring back to that last skirmish when we saw HGC focus on primarily Prismaticism to be able to get that zone outward. He's also one of the biggest, anti-mosh pit heroes on the side of Roll20. So anytime we can see him trade it well into that Li Ming, distract her from getting a free wave of force and interrupt here, Tempest is really, utilizing Artanis in a very effective way, which ultimately I feel like just comes down to the strength of 82 and the, experience that they have had here with this hero. It just feels like they play it so much different than everybody else.
They certainly do, and you can see how they're just playing around the siege, trying to get any shield damage done, any core damage done they can with this, just kind of protecting this because they're so sustainable, they're so tanky, that it feels like they're throwing paper airplanes at them with the Li Ming shots, the Genji shurikens. It needs to be the Dragon Blades, the Wave of Force, and the Haymakers that get a kill onto Brightwing, for example, onto Ana to get those kills, and Tempest is just going to steal this cap. I don't want you to have this. You can't stop me. And Roll20 is very aware of it. They're playing very safe. They're playing very smart, just trying to soak to 16. I think this team fight, though, is their last chance in this Immortal phase.
Yeah.
And there's even going to be split push cap pressure while it's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely not optimal here for Roll20, but it does kind of feel like it will be the straw that may break the camel's back. 1 second away, the Immortals spawning in offensive positioning for both sides. Debatably, good here for the members of Roll20 as it's removing the shielding that because they are yet to win an actual Immortal. But it does feel like here that Tempest is likely to pull ahead pretty heavy after this.
This could be the fight we're looking for Roll20 to take this and go to BlizzCon. Alcoda's going to go ahead and pop his wrap. Here they come.
They get Hyde. They get a lot of damage out of Hyde.
Okay, he's so low, he goes down here. The Dragon Blade is popped. Looking for a second pick. Justine goes down. Can Sign survive here? Avoids the orb. Reset's coming through.
Goku's about to get another one. 4 of the members here are done. Tempest are dead. This is going to allow Roll20 to back out, get this Immortal for themselves. Obviously, Glorong has to back out considering the camp and the catapults are very much pressuring their core. Yeah. But this is the moment that we need to see Roll20 siege completely here up with this Immortal.
They have to get a keep, at least you would think. This is also going to give them level 20 first because of the extra experience held in those forts, the keep wall, etc. So that's going to be an opportunity for them to get that 20. We're talking about 16, no, realistically 17, just 22 hit points off there of shielding here. Coming in this Immortal, 17,000, half shielded Immortal, 1730. Can they in from this? It is possible if they have another fight like they just did and get those resets.
And the biggest thing to bring up about that last skirmish is we didn't even see ourselves a Void Prison drop. That is something that Glorong is going to be looking to drop here onto the members of Tempest. Even look at this flank. Tempest being this far out here, I feel like in itself is a bit of a bold statement. Goku, though, is still up on bottom, so ultimately still a 5 versus 4 here.
Okay, they also have, close call there on the potential swap. Here comes the Void, though. 3 members trapped. They're going to try to 5v2 this. Tempest just wants to get into that Prism. Actually, it's going to stay away from it. Fort does come back online here, and Roll20, they were not even able to get the Fort in the top lane with this. Close call, I suppose, on the Fort's health, but never for a moment was Tempest threatened. And I don't know about that Void Prison.
It was definitely miscommunication somewhere along the line there for the members of Roll20. I couldn't tell if the idea was to ultimately get the Void and then to try and use the Haymaker pushing onto somebody else, or what it was, but they did not get what they needed there out of that Immortal, and now they're out of the heroic cooldown.
Oh, with Prismaticum gun picked there, that would have been game over. You're going to see Peekaboo be used here to try to find Glaurung. He's much further south, however, heading towards that catapult wave to clear it. But yeah, it just felt disjointed there. Dragonblade wasn't up for about 15-20 seconds before the fight as well. Maybe could have been a little bit more patient. Immortal would have gone down, but it would have been an opportunity. Just feels like at this point, no matter what happens, Tempest is very unlikely to lose a fight. They can't do much with the Immortal, and even when they were wiped, because both forts were up, it's not like even though we're in late game, Roll20 could end. They have to go through forts, keep walls, and then keeps before core, whereas Tempest is threatening core with catapults.
Yeah, it's just such an interesting situation that Roll20 could be so dominant without even using their Void Prison in the skirmish before. 4-for-0 wipe. But then you can have those moments where it's like, it's very apparent they're trying to make the play, but something is just not adding up, not working out here. It just feels like day and night moments throughout even just one map here for Roll20.
Yeah, I just really like the sustainability of this comp. It's just unbreakable by this range damage. You have to get the picks, and because Tempest is just balled up with their comp, because they know they're going to get Violet Grenade value from that as well, you can't even try to void 2 members out to kill 2 to kill the rest in a 5v3 fight without that sustained healing. It's really tough to crack this composition with all these heroes that really struggle to do damage to tanky heroes when you have all this healing.
Once again, Roll20 is going to roll the die and land on a very advantageous spawn here for these Immortals. Very defensive posturing.
Tempest has no ranged poke, as we've been talking about, so they can't just sit back, defend, and poke, and Li Ming will be able to do that, in fact. Obviously, it's very risky because they have to keep clearing the catapults, keep clearing these camps that keep getting sent. But Prismaticism, if he has the protection of Justing, can start to throw out those magic missiles. Going to be blocked by HA2, and now Tempest is ready with the camp pressure here to start to make their way in.
Yeah, you can expect that Tempest is probably going to force here once they see the Shaman camp help those catapults make it all the way to the core. Bottom catapult is going to be lined up pretty well here, but Goku's trying to get a flank.
Yeah, he's trying to get a flank here. HA2 took a lot of damage from those stuns. The boss actually getting involved here. Okay, invulnerability now for the Dragon Blade. This is an opportunity. HA2 is dead. Goku, can he keep this up? Can he get the reset?
The reset! Li Ming is just popping off here with Goku and the rest of Roll20. That was just amazing. The cleanse coming out from Buds, the Divine Shield to make sure that Goku did not go down was the thing that they needed to open that fight up. Just blasted.
And now with the late death here of Hong Kono, this game is busted wide open. This is going to be a nearly full shielded Immortal, 33,726 to be exact. They're going to commit to Archon. Not only will this help them rush down this Immortal, it will also help potentially coring. Last time we talked about how there was so much in the way of the Immortal marching down. They have to deal with the catapults, and that's exactly what Glaurung is doing right now. But when they push, this time, realistically, Roll20 could look to close this series out.
I think it's very likely with that Void Prism still available, especially considering the adjustment with the level 20 for Prismaticism, as you were talking about the Archon Pure Power. It's one of the best sieging tools in the game to be able to poke and prod at this heavy melee that Tempest has. It feels like the Purifying Beam, if there's any way that Tempest can hold this siege off, the Purifying Beam has to go down when Archon's going to be sitting still trying to get that damage. She'll never be effective at making that happen. And beyond that point, we need to see Sign hitting a mega mosh pit.
It's the level 20s as well. And Redemption, a scary, scary thing to face off against Muradin's Rewind, the Rewind of Glaurung Zeratul. These are tools that are terrifying to play against, especially the Rewinds. Can help you get that extra edge, that extra CC, the extra damage to get the resets. They're not pushing with this, but remember, it's so heavily shielded. This is by no means over, this push. They're going to clear the catapults first and look for a very aggressive push. Those Tempest positioning right now, they're going to hide down. This is their Alamo. This is their outpost. This is their last chance in this tournament.
All 5 members of Tempest have now been revealed to that bottom lane. The shielding on the Immortals completely removed. Glaurung is nowhere to be found. Tempest has a small advantage
They're so scared of him.
Window. Yeah, but the 20s are too big of a deterrent for them to want to initiate.
They're so scared of Glaurung's positioning, they don't know exactly where he is. Peekaboo's going to see him now. He comes in, drops the Void. It's on the keep, though. And here we go. This is going to be the fight that might decide it all. We can see the Divine Shield so well timed here. There's the kill onto H82. Polymorph comes down, though. Core is still very healthy. I don't think they'll be able to end here necessarily. Archon's going, though.
Maybe we have the Archon to try and get the poke damage. The shielding on the core is still up. Goku going very deep with the Dragon. There's the Polymorph, 80%.
Goku is so low here. He's so low. He is so low. He gets taken out by the core. They still have a lot of damage, though. Bud's on this. He's got redemption. It looks like Roll20 is going to be able to make this happen. Glaurung goes down, however. Bud's adjusting, hitting that core. 10%. 8%.
It's a warrior in support. 4, 3.
Oh, it's too much. He has redemption, and Roll20 will take Tempest out 2-0. The first time in a BlizzCon, North America takes out Korea since Cloud9 defeated DK. It's been a long time, but North America will take this group tonight in advance to BlizzCon to the round of 8.
Roll20, as you see Glaurung going around, giving thanks, giving congratulations, and very well deserved. Proving here through the climb that they have had all of throughout HGC North America, going 21-1 in Phase 2, Part 2. It has just been amazing to see them develop here and then have, you know, almost record-breaking or like almost a trailblazing level of results and success.
I'm just so hyped for this team that's shown so many different strategies and styles and evolution, defeating Black at the mid-season brawl. This team is on fire right now, and it's sad to see Tempest go, but to be frank, I think their preparation and the performance of this group is not BlizzCon worthy. Roll20 takes them out here, they're emotional, but before we talk further about this result, we're going to send it over to the desk. Take it away, Caleris.
Many moments during the opening level 10 of that game onwards, or before that I should say, it looked very doubtful to us, almost all of us on the panel, whether the Roll20 was even going to be able to get a kill, get through the shell that Tempest had built up. What we just witnessed was absolute chaos and mayhem, then to go in favor of Roll20. What a blistering result.
It's almost beyond belief. I mean, like you said, you have a 3-warrior double support setup. They looked impervious. H82 with his Artanis plays, getting the first 2 kills, just fantastic.
Yeah.
We can see some of that play here in one of the replays that we have prepared. Look at this moment here. This was the turnaround point, as it looks like Genji gets caught off here. We pause it for a sec. That's a one-man mosh pit. He gets flipped by Artanis, and from the looks of it, this is very bad. Most of the team is not in position, but Uther will be able to save him there with the Divine Shield. The turnaround suddenly, again, beyond belief here, because it looked like this was an impervious composition by Tempest, but Roll20 does it. 3 fights like this.
I mean, Genji played extremely well there, but Prismaticism's damage coming in on 3 stacked members was insane as well.
I was standing over here and I was talking to somebody about the game. I said their odds of winning right now are probably about 10%. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to take a team fight. They're going to take another team fight. And guess what? They're going to have to take another team fight.
Yeah.
And that is almost improbable on all scenarios for it to have happened the way that they managed to pull that off.
Definitely.
You will not see many moments like that. It reminds me, you guys remember Dignitas versus L5 back at midseason?
Oh yeah.
These are once in a season moments. A couple times a year you'll ever see a game like that.
Caldo.
I really like the coordination in the last 2 team fights for Roll20. We had a couple of mistakes on the side of Tempest, and they were ruthlessly exploited. Because, as you said, they were extremely far behind, and Tempest had quite a bit of time. It was the question who hits 20 first, but 2 lanes are pushing against them. And then they really just try and get the hero kills a bit too early, sacrifice too many resources in the process, and Roll20 identifies it immediately and says, this is the moment where we can get the first kill. And as we've heard from our casters, they needed the kills for the resets, and once that snowball starts, you can't stop it.
There was one really cool moment too, where Justin jumped in on Muradin onto Brightwing. They tried to go for the support assassination, which was the only way they were ever going to make it work.
Top lane.
And then he haymaked. Actually, there was a fight at the bottom right as well. Top lane.
Oh, okay.
I mean, every fight was like that.
Yeah.
But Emerald Wind tried to come out, but then Muradin haymakered Brightwing away, and they got a really important fight. One of the 3 fights that they needed to get back in. Beautiful.
And of course, an unbelievable victory there for Roll20 as they were able to secure their spot at BlizzCon. Let's head over to the stage for a very well-earned interview.
Thank you so much, James. I'm here with an incredibly excited. The energy is just emanating and palpable here. Glarong, of course. Man, congratulations. What an incredible game that last one was. This is the first time a Korean team's ever been knocked out in a group stage on an international tournament like this. One of the first times an NA team has even taken out a Korean team. How are you feeling right now?
I've never felt this good in my life. That was the most insane ending to a series ever. I can't believe we did it. Like, huge shout outs to my team.
Yeah, remarkable play. Obviously, the momentum-based comp there just started to work in your favor. You pulled it out. It was very, very, very fun to watch. I got to ask you, though, about that first map pick, the Warhead Junction pick. What gave you guys the confidence that that was going to work against Tempest when, obviously, we saw a similar strat happen in Group A as well? Were you just ready to try it out, thought you could execute as well? What gave you confidence to know you could get that first game?
So one thing, sorry, I don't really have much of a voice after that, but during mid-season brawl, we were able to surprise MVP Black with a composition that we have practiced, and it's very apparent that we had practiced at that time. And I think it's sort of a similar story with Warhead Junction. We've had a huge preference for like forcing the boss and forcing keeps down on that map, and we kind of didn't really give Tempest the benefit of the doubt that they did as much research on us as they maybe should have. So on that map, we knew that they would be unprepared for our strategy, so we figured it would be like a risk worth taking going to that map for map 1, and it really did pay off well for us.
Awesome. Well, huge sigh of relief. You're going to be at BlizzCon. You're going to be on that stage, which is amazing. You got a week to prepare. How will you guys spend this time? How will you make sure you're in your best shape, best form for BlizzCon?
I definitely think we didn't show our true potential as a team today, so we're going to spend the next week hopefully preparing against the best teams in the world and trying to improve our play even more, because it's been a while since NA has been good, and I'd like to make a statement that we are good again.
Fantastic, man. Well, congratulations once again. I'm going to let you go celebrate with your team. Thank you for all the great games. And guys, just like that, Group C closes out. We have 2 teams getting on board the BlizzCon bus. That is Dignitas and, of course, Roll20 from North America. They're joining MVP Black, Tempo Storm, Fnatic, and Team Freedom to BlizzCon. We've got one more group to go. That's Group D. It's going to go down tomorrow. Soul Torturers, SPT, Team Expert, and Ballistics. You're not going to want to miss it. Same time, same place tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/BlizzHeroes, or over on BlizzCon.com. On behalf of the cast, the crew, I've been Kevin Michael Johnson. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Leaping strike on Medivh. Huge poison spear on Mures.
Goku catching him there. Stitch is being slow. The portal will not be helping Justin. Justin turns around, being tanky. You mentioned it earlier. The Fleabag helping out, eating members here. Argents gets spit out and killed. Tulin trying to escape. He will fall. Oriel as well. Vieira wants to escape, but Prismatic is giving chase. And with the portal, Roll20 will take out 4.
Beautiful by Roll20.
Bottom, they're going to try and wall it out. Dahaka looking for that. I don't think they go here, but they've got another target in mind as Tracer gets deleted.
Now Dignitas in a 5 versus 4 situation. They're close to 16. They want the tribute, they want the curse, and they also want more kills. But it's Sergeant Hammer that eliminates Tassadar.
And Tassadar ended up going down there. JPL able to get the flip on Prismaticism. The members of Roll20 are looking to turn this thing around as Dignitas is so low. The palm goes through. The grenade seals the deal and the kill on to Bakery. Polymorph done. And Roll20 now has 3 kills that they can use to try and get onto this boss.
What an farther ahead than where they are right now.
Yeah, very much so. But this is going to be the breaking point for either side. Justin's going to go ahead and get dropped over. The taunt is there.
And again, they're trying to go for the kill. But this time the force wall is not locking him down. Here comes Goku moving in, hitting the isolation. The pulse bomb takes down Diva. Snitch is making it happen for his team. And now we're talking again about Curse.
This is the best chance, and this is what happened last time on Tales of Doom. They went for that fight as well, and now going to be looking to collapse onto it. Sign is there, Vieira is also there. The Warbreaker starts things off. Lockdown with that clone is getting aggressive. Mures is dropping low. He's the big component of this comp to try and make it work. He falls on down. Rhaegar the double kill to make sure that Tempest go for that 16. It's not going to be enough. One by one they fall. The Bermuda Triangle, lots of things happen there, and I tell you what, 4 people are going to fall. They are disappearing.
Disappearing ships, a March of the Black King got massive value
value in this choke point. That's exactly what Tempest was looking for. It's a full team wipes giving.
The Tempest is going to take this.
Okay, they're going to try to come in here. Honkoto's on the boss point. There's the Warhead. I don't think Roll20 can contest this. I think it's time to get out. Justin is just going to come in here to try to zone them off. Could self-destruct here. In fact, Goku's on it. Self-destruct gets a kill onto Tracer.
And now they get the boss is going to be moving onto the court. 2 members here of Tempest are going to die. Hakono is going to comfortably get the back, but not if HGC leads them to it.
That's a game over here, I think, for Tempest. Here comes the medevac. They're going straight for the core. They're going to hit that core before the boss. Damage from those stuns. The boss actually getting involved here. Okay, invulnerability now for the Dragon Blade. This is an opportunity. HGC is dead. Goku, can he keep this up? Can he get the reset?
The reset. Lee Ming is just